I wonder what time it is. Oh shoot, I'm late. I should have started this a few days ago. Our garage was in need of some heavy work. There was stuff everywhere, all over the floors, all over the walls, and it really needed to be cleaned. We started off by making 3 different piles. We had one for things we wanted to donate, one for things we needed to throw away, and one for stuff that we needed to just keep around. Our organization started at the workbench. We started taking stuff off the top and organizing all of their contents from our toolboxes and other paint boxes. The only pain was that cleaning out these few containers took quite a lot of time. Our end goal here, of course, was to just sort everything that was on this workbench that we had. We needed to move it out of the way so we could start clearing the walls. Once we had finished clearing the one to the left, we ended up going to this little thing, which was full of a bunch of old chemicals and paint. So we promptly cleared all that stuff out, and we had one little problem. We were left with an ugly shelf that did not fit in with this garage. And I'm pretty sure you can guess what comes next. Yup, this thing gets beat into smithereens. After creating a mess of boards in our garage, we then decided to scrap the pegboards that were up on each wall. After this, we needed to remove the pegs that were from the wall, holding the boards in place. So I jammed a hammer underneath one, and that seemed to work pretty well, so that's what we did for the rest of the boards. That was pretty much our first day of work. We had deconstructed that bench, thrown its parts over the garage, cleaned out a bunch of workbenches and other boxes, and stripped the walls of their pegboards. So we basically had an even bigger mess on our hands, which we would have to take care of the next day. The good thing was that we had a foundation on which we could build with, because we had everything sorted out and we had everything all arranged and organized. It was much easier to deal with it the next day. With all these scrap boards on our hands, we needed to make sure they were a little safer to handle, so we broke out our gloves, we broke out our tools, and we went away at hammering the nails down to the boards and splitting the boards in half sometimes so we could fit it all in my car. This took us so much time. We had an entire workbench of wood to just flatten down the nails for and take care of all the splitting. But after we were done with all that, we put everything in my car and we drove off to the landfill. After stopping at Jamba Juice, of course, we went into the dump and started to unload the car, which basically just consisted of me and my sister tossing stuff around. However, this was not the end of our errands. After this, we went right to Home Depot, got some paint samples, and some other stuff to clean up our walls. We were going to go with a gray and blue theme for our garage, have like one wall blue and then the rest gray, so this was our second trip getting paint, and we ended up getting 2 more blues to try out. The one that I'm painting is the one that we ended up going with. That's it, we had picked our colors and it was time to start preparing the walls. But to do that, we had to get everything off the walls. So we moved literally everything from the walls. We had our workbench, our boards, our ping pong table, everything was moved to the center of the garage to prepare for the walls. Then we gave everything a nice sweep and called it a day. Now day 3 for me was mostly electrical and other prep work. Since I was going to be working with electrical things, I went to my breaker first and turned off our garage circuit. We only had a single outlet in our garage, so I unplugged whatever was plugged into it and separated it from its box. We also did some more last second decluttering where we took everything off of our big shelf and set it aside, along with gathering up all of our old paints and putting them in my car. And we had to recycle these paints because they were all old ones that we were no longer using for any other thing. So we just took them to our local paint store and they took them right off our hands for free, so that was fantastic. The last thing we did today was basically patch up all the holes in the walls. We put joint compound in all the little screw, nail, and whatever hook holes had accumulated over the last 10 years and let that dry and sanded them before we started to paint the next day. And at the end of the day, this is pretty much what the garage looked like. It's an utter mess, but at least all the walls were clean. We could paint and we could sand and we could patch, but this is what the garage looked like for about a week, and let's just say my parents weren't very happy with that. At this point, I realized there was still a lot more stuff to cover, so I decided to up the pacing of the video. Now day 4 was basically just a day of taping. My sister taped the roof, she taped the floor, and we ended up taping a few other things which I didn't get on camera. But while she was doing all this, I was doing some electrical work which ended up being deemed pointless because we wanted to end up changing the position of a few of the outlets. Now day 5 is where things really got productive. We ran a paint tarp all along the edges of the walls to protect the floor from the, from the paint falling off the wall. And we had to cut some extra pieces that were like specific sizes, but then after that, we opened the paint and got to work. Since we were only painting one wall, it didn't take us much time at all. The only problem was with the roof and the corners, but we had a bunch of tape, so it wasn't much of an issue. Now, while my sister was doing that, things got a little loud on the other end of the garage. Basically, we were cutting holes in the drywall to allow for some more outlets, and we wanted to add about 3 more, so there were quite a lot of holes to cut. We then needed to run the wires through the walls so that we could run them to all the different outlets that were going to be on the circuit. And that was a little hard because we didn't want to do a lot of wall damage. So luckily my dad's friend, he helped us out, and he had a 4-foot drill bit which we could use to drill through the wall and attach our wires to. So that was perfect for what we wanted to do. Now that we had the wires running through, we had to attach the boxes to the walls so that we could screw in the outlets. See the process? So this took us a few more minutes. It wasn't that hard. We used boxes that could just be screwed into the drywall, luckily. And after that, he left, and I was all alone to do the rest by myself. However, before we did the outlets, we had to paint the wall, right? We had to paint the gray walls. So I taped over everything that we had done, all the outlets, all the switches and stuff, along with all the bare wires that were sticking out of the wall, waiting to electrocute someone. After all the taping, it was back to the same procedure. We rolled out the carpet, cracked open the paint can, and got to work. Now, painting the last 2 walls was one of the hardest parts of this whole project, but I'm going to leave it all out because it's basically all the same thing. After all the painting was done, we unwrapped all the wires and put the outlets into place. With them all connected, we turned the breaker on and tested all the voltages to make sure everything was fine and connected right. At last, it was time for cleanup. We rolled up all the paint tarps, took all the tape off the walls, put all the plates onto the outlets, and then realized we still had a lot more cleaning to do before we were going to be done with this garage. But don't worry, I'm not going to pain you and make you watch through all that organization, so... And that's pretty much the garage, my dudes. We have all of our stuff organized on this rack, perfectly done. Got our trash cans there, which as you can see are completely full with all the stuff we found that we needed to dispose of. We have our ping pong table right here, and the best part, oh my mic's getting in the way. And the best part of this garage is what lies over here. So this is going to be my space right here. Between this pillar and this wall all the way to that garage, this is my space. I can do whatever I want with it. And it's going to be a studio that I'm going to be using for many, many different things. And I think I've told you guys a little bit about that already, but I'll get into it later. And then this is going to be my sister's space. She can do whatever she wants there. We are so excited about this whole space. I am extremely excited, at least. And we're going to definitely be doing some more videos later on in this place. Just focus on me. And I can't wait. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to hit that like button or even subscribe. If you really liked it, feel free to go over to Patreon and you can look at all that stuff over there. But thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.